Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. So, what if I told you that your brain isn't actually wired to chase difficulty, but that the ancient Greeks literally figured out a way to hack their nervous systems to crave it? I am absolutely thrilled you're here because today we are going to completely dismantle a massive and honestly pretty painful misconception that holds so many of us back. Most people out there think discipline is all about forcing yourself to suffer. They treat it like a total grind, this heavy punishment you just have to endure to get what you want out of life. But we're going to explore a really fascinating framework that will change how you look at effort, focus, and discomfort forever. Okay, let's dive into this. Because the ancient Greeks really hit the nail on the head here. They understood a fundamental truth. The human brain does not chase difficulty, it chases the meaning attached to that difficulty. To them, hardship absolutely wasn't a punishment. Think about our modern grind culture, where we're told to just grit our teeth and suffer through tasks. The Greeks rejected that whole idea. Instead, hardship was treated as identity training. It was a systematic way to become someone your own nervous system could actually respect. And the craziest part? Once your brain starts to associate effort with your identity, rather than just raw pain, something almost magical happens. You literally stop needing motivation, and you actually start craving the resistance. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to quickly break down the myth of discipline and the biology behind predictive coding. Then we'll get right into the Greek method itself, the 3 stages of transformation, and finally, how to reclaim your nervous system. It's a highly structured path designed to show you exactly why your brain resists effort right now and how we can systematically fix it. Let's get into it. To really understand this, we first have to tackle Section 1, the myth of discipline. The sad reality is that most people are completely unknowingly training their own nervous systems to view hard things like studying, engaging in deep focus, or sticking to a tough workout routine as literal neurological threats. Not physical threats, mind you, but deeply ingrained neurological ones. And there is literally just one primary reason for this. Operating entirely beneath your conscious awareness, kind of running in the background like your computer's operating system, your brain is constantly evaluating every single difficult task by asking itself exactly one binary question. Just one. It asks, does this action increase my status or threaten my survival? You see, every difficult task creates intense friction. It's this massive tug of war between present you, who is perfectly comfortable just chilling on the couch, and future you, who requires incredibly hard work to actually achieve anything. Imagine you want to write a book or start a new business. The second you sit down to do it, your brain senses uncertainty. And because the human brain absolutely hates uncertainty, it violently pulls you back toward familiarity, even if that familiarity is totally destructive to your goals. That magnetic pull to grab your phone instead of doing the work? That's not you being lazy. That is your brain literally trying to ensure your survival. Which brings us to Section 2, the brain's predictive coding. This biological trap is what causes so much of our procrastination. And I want you to realize something absolutely crucial right now. Your brain isn't actually lazy. It is just highly protective. Now, what's really interesting about this is that predictive coding is the literal root of your resistance. Your brain is constantly running these internal simulations, trying to predict exactly how painful something will feel before you even start it. Imagine sitting in your car in the gym parking lot on a freezing winter morning. Before you even touch a weight, you feel this massive wave of exhaustion. That isn't physical fatigue. That is your brain simulating the workout and predicting a massive energy drain. And whatever that prediction is, it directly determines your emotional response. If you've ever felt this overwhelming wall of dread before opening a blank document, yep, that is predictive coding in action. So if your brain predicts a task is going to drain you, it generates massive resistance. You put it off, you tell yourself, I'll just do it later when I feel motivated. Your brain learns that difficulty equals retreat. But if it predicts that the task proves who you are, it generates absolute drive. It's the exact same task, just framed through completely different identity. This is exactly why elite marathon runners can literally feel their lungs burning and their legs cramping, yet they lean into the pace. Or why monks can sit in absolute silence for days without losing their minds. They have deliberately trained their brains to associate discomfort with self-expansion. For them, the pain isn't a signal to stop. It's a signal that they are arriving at who they are meant to be. So the big question is, how do we rewire those automatic predictions? Well, let's jump into Section 3, the Greek method explained. We find the answer hidden inside ancient Stoicism, Spartan training, and Aristotelian philosophy. The big secret? Making the discomfort emotionally meaningful. Long before cold plunges were a trendy hashtag, the Greeks were practicing voluntary hardship. We're talking freezing water, physical exhaustion, intense mental struggle, silence, isolation, and rigorous study. Now, they weren't masochists. They didn't do this just to suffer. They did it because if you choose these things voluntarily before life randomly forces them onto you, you teach your brain a vital lesson. By stepping into that freezing water or enduring a grueling workout on your own terms, you prove to your nervous system that it can adapt to whatever it repeatedly survives. And this brilliantly illustrates how history and modern science totally align. The ancient Greeks called this process becoming dangerous. Today, modern neuroscience calls it stress inoculation. Ancient thinkers and today's top scientists have reached the exact same conclusion. You do not become strong by avoiding discomfort. You become strong by engaging with it on your own terms. Let's move to section 4 to see how this builds into an actual framework you can use. This is the 3 stages of transformation, the true actionable engine of the Greek method that interrupts our automatic avoidance of effort. The framework operates in 3 distinct stages: controlled suffering, identity attachment, and emotional reframing. It is so important to internalize this. Deep, unshakable confidence isn't built by having a bunch of easy successes. It is built by repeatedly surviving resistance. Let's break down exactly how each step functions. All right, in stage 1, controlled suffering, you engage in small, chosen discomforts. Think of Spartan training. They didn't endure adversity to become emotionless robots. They did it to teach their nervous systems that effort is actually safe. Because the brain changes through exposure, not intensity, these small strategic doses of discomfort literally rewire your baseline. Then we hit stage 2, identity attachment. This is where you align your actions with how you describe yourself, which completely bypasses the need for fleeting motivation. And finally, in stage 3, emotional reframing, you learn to interpret that friction as growth, which actually causes the brain to release dopamine just for making the effort. Honestly, stage 2 is where the real magic happens. There's a massive difference between motivation-based thinking, where you complain, "Ugh, I need to study," and identity-based thinking, where you declare, "I am someone who sharpens my mind." Human beings will endure almost anything to preserve their identity. Because your internal dialogue acts as literal neurological instruction, making this language shift is absolutely paramount. If you constantly call yourself lazy or distracted, your brain stabilizes around that exact pattern. But if you practice identifying as disciplined, your repeated actions just become your new self-concept. Which leads directly to emotional reframing. Difficulty is not a malfunction. Let me say that again. It is evidence that transformation is happening. When your muscles burn, your body is physically adapting. When deep work feels horribly uncomfortable and you just want to quit, your attention span is physically expanding. You absolutely must stop interpreting this friction as a sign to give up. Because the truth is, growth is going to feel like friction long before it ever feels like progress. To really pull this all together, we have to move to section 5, reclaiming your nervous system. Neuroscience reveals a really severe modern warning about dopamine. A lot of people think dopamine is just a reward chemical, but it's actually an anticipation chemical. It releases when your brain predicts something valuable is about to happen. But in today's world, we have fundamentally broken our reward systems. I mean, today, our reward systems are essentially operating like slot machines in our pockets. Half of our mental energy is hijacked by short videos and infinite scrolling. Another 40% is completely eaten up by constant notifications. That leaves a tiny, pathetic 10% fraction for delayed reward tolerance. By adapting to all this instant, effortless pleasure, we have drastically lowered our tolerance for any kind of delayed reward. This is exactly why stillness, focus, and deep effort can actually feel like physical pain. It's not because you are uniquely weak or broken. It's because your reward system has been entirely retrained around getting an immediate fix. So the crucial point is this. What the Greeks called spiritual decay, modern neuroscience calls dopaminergic dysregulation. It's totally different language for the exact same warning. A weak attention span creates a weak identity, because the brain just becomes addicted to whatever requires the absolute least amount of resistance. If you constantly give in to the easiest option, your capacity to handle life's inevitable friction simply evaporates. But hey, the good news is that your brain is highly adaptable. Yes, day 1 is going to feel the heaviest, but remember, that's only because you are fighting your old identity's prediction of pain, not the reality of the task itself. If you just stick with it and push through that initial friction, by week 1, the difficult thing becomes totally normal. By month 1, the difficult thing actually becomes enjoyable. And by year 1, that difficult thing becomes completely necessary to who you are. Your brain literally updates its entire model of the world. So I want you to ask yourself, are you ready to stop punishing yourself and finally transform effort into identity? Are you ready to prove to your brain that you are becoming someone greater?
The goal of this explainer wasn't just to share some cool historical facts or brain science, it's to help you literally reclaim your nervous system so that hard things no longer feel like a threat, but a calling. Take on that voluntary hardship, reframe the friction, and start showing your brain exactly who you are meant to be. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.